There is a ton of money to be made using Fiverr, Fiverr.com, but how do you actually stand out and get gigs? Hey, this is Leah Ray from ToddandLeahRay.com, and I have a special treat for you. I have our good and dear friend Will Stauff here, who has made a ton of money, just a killing on Fiverr, month after month, earning even up to $7,000 a month in one single month just through his Fiverr gigs. So he is here to help you understand how to stand out on Fiverr, and so that you can get hired to do gigs, create an extra income stream to support your business, support your family, whatever you need. So welcome, Will. Excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much, Leah. It's great to be talking with you once again about Fiverr.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So that's the biggest complaint that we hear. They're like, yeah, I know you can do Fiverr gigs, but how do you stand out? There's so many people on there. So how do you stand out? How do you actually get hired for jobs when you're creating a profile or whatever the Fiverr profile-y thing is called? Fiverr is not my thing. So tell us, how do you do that?
There's a couple of fundamental things that you have to do first in order to get noticed on Fiverr. When you're just starting out, you need to get noticed, and keywords play a significant role in that. Also, either your image or your video. Video is the best way to get noticed. If you're a freelancer and you're going for just about anything you could possibly think of, there are many different categories where people don't use video. So if you use video where you're in a category on Fiverr where a lot of people don't, you'll definitely stand out. But there's certain steps that must take place in order for that to happen. A lot of times, and I've gone through this, I think everybody has, you'll probably hear this, well, I set my gig up on Fiverr and I've been waiting for months and I don't get any orders. Well, it doesn't work that way. There are certain things that you have to do. There's a process that takes place in order for you to get traffic on Fiverr and to get people noticing your gig.
Awesome. So walk us through that process. What does that really look like as you're getting started? So say someone says, I have a gig. I'm going to do something awesome like you, like voiceover work, or I'm going to do graphic design work, or whatever. I'm going to do transcription work. What do they do when they first decide they want to do this and offer this service through Fiverr?
One of the things I think you definitely have to do is you have to choose a category that's competitive. Now, I've seen some people that have a certain gig that they have put together, like an illustrator, and there's one gig in particular on Fiverr where people want to make like an animation, a picture of somebody, your own profile, and there's a quick little software to do that. There's a lot of people doing that, but there's not a lot of people interested. You'll find that you have to have a really competitive category that you're involved in, where people are actively searching for that. And then you have to determine, what your niche is. If you've got a niche that's competitive, you're in good shape. Voiceover is very competitive when it comes to illustration. Animation is super competitive, but you have to go through everything. You have to go through all the different categories that they offer, and you have to look at what people are buying and what is in demand. I mean, you have to think supply and demand. So that is the number one first step that you have to do in order to get established.
So how do you do that? Like, how do you see what's being bought? Is there a search way or tool, or how does that work?
When you first get onto Fiverr, you're going to see all the different categories that they do have to offer, and that's very easy to search. You'll see different categories on Fiverr.com. You'll be able to browse through them, but the big part of it is paying attention to the profiles that are out there and the search words that people are using. For instance, I'm just going to use voiceover because that is my niche and that's my genre. Now, you can do this with anything, animation or whatever service that you're trying to provide. What I do is I look and find out what are the keywords that are the most popular. One of them is, voiceover. So American male voice I found out is a huge keyword. So I look up American male voice and I find out the top people who are being searched. So you'll have maybe 15, 20 pages of all these different profiles, and each page contains about, 15 to 20 different profiles per page. And when you search that key term, okay, you're going to find who is the person showing up on the very top line of Fiverr. You're able to click on their gig. You're going to able to find out how many orders they have in queue. That's very important, because then you're really going to understand what's happening out there on Fiverr and what is the most popular and what is trending. So, for instance, voiceover, the number one person who's making voiceover, that's probably the busiest and the most popular. He probably has anywhere between 5 and 15, if not more, orders in queue on a regular basis. And that's going to tell you right there that, okay, this is a popular keyword. This is a popular search word. So what I've got to do is I've got to construct my title in order to show up in that specific search engine. And the whole goal, it's almost like a game that you have to play, is to get yourself on the front page. In the same way that when SEO people who are trying to, or anybody's business that are using SEO, they're trying to get noticed on Google on the front page, right? That's where you want to be. You want to be the first one that shows up. Well, Fiverr has their own algorithm. They have their own search engines. They have their own keywords. You've got to figure out what those keywords, and they're pretty easy to find when you're looking at different categories. Just look at people's title. You find out who's getting the most orders. Who are the top rated sellers? There is a tier system involved. There is like beginner, there is level 1, there's level 2, and then there's top rated seller. So you have to find out who the top rated sellers are. And that's very easy to recognize. It's very easy to find. And that's basically how I did it when I first came as a newbie. That's an easy shortcut to find, right? Is who are the top rated sellers? There's a search field on the left-hand side of the column when you go to the screen. And you can find out, you click on top rated seller, you look at their gigs, you look at their keywords, you look at their description, you look at their video, how they have set up. And what you basically do is you try to reverse engineer what they're doing when you are setting up your gig. Setting up the gig is the most important part. Everything else you do after that is important, but that is the essential part. That's the foundational part, is setting up that gig. Once you have that gig established, then you're going to be able to do a couple of other things that will help you get traffic, that will help you get orders. And there is a process of doing that in order to get orders.
Let's go into those other couple things, and let's come back to this in a little bit, guys. Let's actually have Will show us on his screen, like break down how do you reverse engineer this, exactly like he talked through. So we'll get to that shortly, but let's keep going here with this conversation. And what are those additional things that you can add on after you have your gig set up?
A lot of people get frustrated because they think that, okay, I have my gig set up and I'm not getting orders. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe my presentation isn't good enough. That's not the necessarily first thing you have to worry about. I think it is something you have to be concerned about. You want to make your gig better and better. You want to come back to it. You want to make it look better. And the more orders you get, the more samples you're able to provide, and the more you're going to be able to understand and be more comfortable with the platform that is Fiverr. So you can always change that gig. I have changed my gig and my video dozens of times, and I've gotten it to the point where I feel I'm comfortable with it. And who knows, maybe down the road, I'll continue to examine where I'm at. I will change that gig. I will make it a little bit better or do something a little bit different. One of the things that people don't understand, and I think a lot of times when you get on a platform like this and you read the news articles, people that are making $100,000 a year, they're making 6 figures on Fiverr. There was even on Fortune magazine, there's one lady that hit $1 million on Fiverr who was, I believe she was an HR person, and she was putting people's resumes together or whatever. And she just had a super, super popular gig. It has taken off, and she hit $1 million on Fiverr. So they automatically think, boy, I want to be at that level. I want to do that. But the way to do that is you have to get noticed. There is a place that Fiverr provides for you called the buyer request section. The buyer request section for me in voiceover is there's a whole list of people, and they're from all over the world. They want $20 for a little script. They want $15 for a voicemail. They want $5 for something for their explainer video, okay, that they're putting together for their 2D animation. You have 10 chances per day to go and hit the buyer request section. You have 10 chances per day of doing it. So you have 10 buyer requests essentially. So what you would do is on a regular basis, what I do on a regular basis is I go to the buyer request section. I have a Dropbox link that I provide people when I am filling out a buyer request. I give them that. You're also able to choose your actual profile. So on top of that, you got 2 things going on. You're using your profile or your gig, okay, that they're gonna find out about when you're putting this together. You fill it out, okay, and you also provide that link. And I do 10 of those per day. I consistently do it, not after I've reached some level. I know one guy who's a top-rated seller who has been doing that consistently every single day, even at top-rated seller, and he's making $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month consistently, and he has never stopped doing that. It's almost like even if you're not getting those in, you're getting the traffic too. But the point is that that's how you go and you get your orders. And that's how you get your reviews to start out. So.
That's awesome. So what are you putting in that Dropbox? Is it samples of what you can do, or?
So the Dropbox link is my demo. So let's say you're in I don't know, you're doing illustrations, or you're doing something else, or you're putting pictures together, you're doing a whiteboard animation. You'll have different things in that Dropbox link. The nice thing about Dropbox, it is free. There's like a whole free side to it, and you don't have to pay until you've really used up a ton of space. And if you used up too much space, you just go ahead and delete it, unlike Google Drive. I wouldn't recommend Google Drive. I've tried Google Drive, or I wouldn't recommend a couple of other places that people have used different links, because a lot of times those services, you'll click on it, they'll ask you to log in or whatever. So a buyer who's going through a whole process, he has 5 to 10 different samples that he's looking at, and he clicks on one of those links and they're asking them to log in or something. He's not going to mess with that. He's just going to go to the next person. But Dropbox is great. It provides you a public link. So you want the samples of your work, whatever it is, or a description of your work, or whatever you do on Fiverr when it comes to those different categories. You're going to want to provide those people samples, whether that's video, whether that's audio, whether that's graphic design elements, or whatever. That's what you need in that link.
Okay, that's awesome. I love the idea of the Dropbox providing more samples for customers who are specifically looking for things. That's awesome. So when it comes to ranking, what are the key things? So you're going to, reverse engineer the top guys, right? See what they're doing. But what other things are going to help you generate traffic to your listing?
Best way to generate traffic is the buyer request section, obviously. In order to generate that traffic, the way that Fiverr works is that your orders and your reviews are the things that generate traffic. The nice thing that Fiverr does for newbies is that they'll put you on the front page as a newbie if you've got the right keywords set up correctly, if you're getting orders, and if you are getting reviews. So those orders and reviews are a means for you to get noticed. It's a means for you to get ranked. You reach a certain income level, you go from beginner, you go to level 1, okay? And then you go to level 2. Level 2, I believe you have to earn at least $2,000 in order to get to level 2. Once you've hit $20,000, you are eligible to be a top-rated seller. And then they personally select the top-rated sellers. In order for you to get noticed on that front page, you have to consistently get orders. There's 2 different ways of how a buyer will order something on Fiverr when it comes to gigs. They will either have a direct order, which they will see your order, they'll go click on it, they'll fill it out, or they will contact you, ask you questions about, and maybe here's my budget, this is what I'm looking for, how much will this cost? And then you create a custom order. Now with custom orders, what you can do, let's say there's one gig in particular that you're trying to get noticed, okay? You could make a custom order for that gig. I have several different gigs. I have an audiobook gig. I have some comedy gigs. I have a American Male Voice gig, which is primary voiceover. I have several different gigs that I have that I put together. So what I'll do is I'll take a custom order and I will apply it to that gig specifically because I'm looking for it to increase traffic. So I'll show up on the front page. Once I show up on the front page, okay, then you're really going to get noticed. And instead of auditioning or trying to go out and trying to get jobs, they come to you. Wake up in the morning, you see an order, boom, right there, because you've done the legwork. You've done the legwork of going out and trying to get an order and trying to get reviews. The more reviews, the more orders, the more they're going to boost you up in the rankings. That's how it works. And then you get noticed. And that's how you make money. And there's certain gigs that will make more money than others. For example, my audiobook gig is something that'll make more money than anything else because it's a fairly large volume. I have an 8-hour book. I charge them, $250 per finished hour. That's a nice big chunk of change right there. So I have an audiobook gig and I'm trying to get that noticed because I use that because that's a huge money generator when it comes to my niche. So there's some thoughts here for you as far as how to really get noticed and how you can get your gigs moving up in the rankings.
I love that. That is awesome. I don't know Fiverr a whole lot, so it's exciting to me to know that even when you're first getting started, you can go out there and you can hustle it out 10 times a day, reaching out through people who are actively looking for specific jobs, and that's how you get those first orders. That's how you get the first reviews that are going to allow you to start to rank and to get noticed. So thank you. That is very, very helpful for folks. Now, if we can dive into your screen, if you can kind of help us reverse engineer, like he said at the beginning, when you're looking at ranking, you want to find what people are doing, how the top people are doing it right now, and kind of reverse engineer it. So if you can do that for us, I think that'd be really helpful and insightful for folks.
Sure. Let me go ahead and share the screen here and show you what I have. So let me look up American Male Voice, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. So I do a search. Now, if you're looking here on Fiverr, you're seeing all the top people. Let's see here. Scott Walton, he is a friend of mine, by the way. He is Fiverr's choice right there. He's showing up here in American Male Voice. Now, American Male is actually really going to show you, because that really just kind of narrows the focus to top-rated sellers with that actual keyword, just American male alone. And for some reason, American male is only in the voiceover category. It's not in any other category. But if I click on American male, now, these are all top-rated sellers. Let's look at the guy that's making the most money right now. He's got over 1,000 reviews. They're all 5-star. Here's something that's very, very interesting here as far as reverse engineering. I want to talk about that. It's important if you have a video, because what happens is this: if you don't have a video, and let's just say you have an image or you just have a picture or whatever, there's several clicks that people have to click in order to find out. With this, with one click, you're able to find out about him. I click on his preview. Can you hear that?
No, but I can imagine that it's playing his voice, which is his asset and what you want to hear.
For some reason, the audio isn't coming through, but that's fine. No big deal. But what we have right here is you're going to see the audio. You're going to see a presentation. He'll probably have a couple of video samples of some commercials that he's done with, you see a car. You're going to see maybe a national spot that you've seen on TV before. So you're going to see that, and you're going to see his voice underneath it. And that right there is his presentation. So people will click on that thumbnail and be able to figure it out. If you don't have a thumbnail video, if you don't have a video, you're missing about 40% of clicks, 40% of sales. It's almost like you have a strainer with, you're pouring water and it's going through the strainer, and you're losing a lot of customers that way.
I can imagine. Think about yourselves. If you are actually shopping for something online and you're on an online store, I know when I'm looking at stuff, I want to just do the quick preview because it looked interesting enough for me to want to check it out, but I didn't want to have to open another tab, or I didn't have to go forward and so I could have to go back and forth all the time. I just wanted a preview. I do it all the time when I'm shopping, and I'm sure that you do too. And so this is a great way to leverage that same process essentially, but with Fiverr, so that you stand out. You can get your message, your offer, your services, the uniqueness that you can do in front of people in just one click, and you're going to get a lot more people checking you out because of it.
Let me also go ahead and click on the actual gig itself. So look at the title. It says, I will record a fantastic male American voice over. American male or male American, American male voice and over are all very searchable keyword for people to search on. So we'll click on his gig. He has 8 orders in queue. He has over 1,084 reviews. Okay. So he's probably had a whole lot more orders, but he has, out of all of those orders, he has reviews, and they're all 5-star. So the big thing about his gig is that if you go through it, he has certain things highlighted. Okay, about this gig: I'm a professional voiceover, over 5 years experience, 1,500 plus happy customers, nearly 1,000 5-star reviews. My goal: top-notch professional service. And he gives it a description of his voice. Because when people are looking for voiceover, they're looking for a specific sound in mind. Maybe they're looking for a younger sound. Maybe they're looking for a millennial sound. And you hear a lot of these commercials. I hear them all the time on TV, like JCPenney. It almost sounds like the female or the male is very young sounding. But he's different. He's bold, he's deep, he's resonant. Listen to my samples, message me. Links to my demo in the frequently asked questions below. He really kind of spells out too his demo, his basic rates. He's put all that into the description. I'm looking at commercial use, broadcast use. So if any of his audio is going to be used for radio or television, he's going to charge a certain rate for that. Only 1 script per order, please. He's making it very clear. Now, the other part of it too, and this has been told to a lot of insiders at Fiverr, is that if you really want to get noticed, really fill out that gig. Put that description as much as you possibly can in there, and do it, making sure it is user-friendly. So you're trying to reach anybody that would be interested in a voiceover, not necessarily an ad agency who's familiar with all the technical voiceover verbiage that's out there, but just friendly and accommodating, and a description like that. You go through it. He has a short little description here, contact me. But then the other part of it is all his different gigs and all the different things that he's put out there. So for $25, let's look at the actual price. For $25 for 200 words. Okay. You're thinking to yourself, boy, how in the world is he making all this money? Well, this is where he's making all his money. And that right there is filling out these gig extras. So, $20 for script reading, $25 for commercial rights. What commercial rights means, if it doesn't matter what it is, if it's a business, okay, you're going to pay $25 for it, okay, whether it's on your website or wherever it is. Full broadcast rights, if it's an actual commercial or it's a paid ad that's online, that's broadcast rights, because it's being broadcast at other places. And there's a couple of other things here, a couple of other technical things, background music, and some small things. But those are all different things that you can put on there. And there's other gig extras like regional or national. If it's a television commercial that's played in multiple different markets, okay, or multiple different cities, or if it's played nationally, he's going to charge $250 for that. So if he's one of the most sought after people, from what I understand from Top Rated Sellers, I got a few Top Rated Seller friends, they fill out everything. They're not stingy at all, because they want the top rated seller. They want the best stuff. They'll fill out this stuff, and he'll walk away with a $500 to a $700 to a $1,000 order. And some of these longer form narration videos that you see, you'll see some sales videos, especially when it comes to health and wellness and nutrition, or some products that there's a big long story in a description that you'll see online that people will check out and walk through, and they'll go through a story, and then they will click on below type of thing. The word count on that is much larger, so you're going to get a much larger order based on the word count alone. And so he has that. And the other important part is really, if you are putting a Fiverr gig together, really fill out the frequently asked questions. Put a lot of effort into that. That's going to attract people to you. But at the same time, Fiverr looks at that as very favorable for you as well. And they'll give you more traffic. And when it comes to deciding if you're going to be a top rated seller or not, they're going to look at the frequently asked questions. Some of these are, and this could be totally different depending on what you're doing and what niche that you're in. Do you offer revisions? Do you have demos or samples of your work? What is commercial use? A lot of times people need that explained to them. What is full broadcast rights? I need it fast. Why 3 days? How to add music, how to add background music, the whole process there. So you're going to see all these different things here that you would have to go through and that are listed right there on the gig itself. So you really what you want to do is you really want to fill that out as much as you possibly can when you're putting your gig together, so you can get noticed. So that's basically how you reverse engineer a gig. You look at a top rated seller, look at what they're doing, what are they doing right, why are they getting that kind of traffic, and you try to reverse engineer it. Make sure that you put a lot of good frequently asked questions. Make sure your description really is eye-catching and narrows down what you're trying to offer to specific people and what they're looking for. And that's how you reverse engineer a gig and take a look at it.
Awesome. So you basically look up top rated sellers in your niche, in your industry, and then use them as a template, right? And just do what they did, but make it specific to you. So if they describe, their style of their voice or whatever, then you're doing it, specific to you. I think that's great. That's very, very smart. Why try to reinvent the wheel when there's people who have already cracked the code and you can just learn what they're doing?
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about Fiverr, and that's how I basically started. There's a place to go to the community forums and get a whole bunch of information about this, and there's a lot of discussion there that people give you all kinds of great tips. And Fiverr has tons and tons of resources too, and articles on their page about how to set up a gig correctly and how to make it really pop. I would say this here, if I could go in a different direction on this, is that there's a lot of things that come up that people say, well, you know what, I've done all the things that you've told me to do, and it's still not working. And I have a whole bunch of information on that too, because I get that a lot in my own Facebook group. I'm involved in many different Facebook groups that are Fiverr related. One of the things that I think mistakes, and I'll just run through a couple of mistakes that newbies make, is that they set their price way too high. And when I say high, is that you want to get noticed first. The point of Fiverr when you're first starting out is to get noticed and really not raise your prices at all until you've hit level 2. So if you're just a beginner, what you do is you hang out in the buyer request section and you get whatever you could possibly get. And sometimes the orders are a little ridiculous, but if it's reasonable, take it. For $5, I want 500 words. Well, I want to spend all this. I want to put all these extras to that order, and I want to charge you a whole lot more because I value myself more and I deserve those rates. But what you need to do is you need to go and you need to start low in order to build yourself up. As a newbie, your main concern, no matter what niche it is your main concern is to get orders and get reviews, no matter what it takes, whatever it takes to get those two things. You're not interested in scoring some big, huge deal or some big, huge order. You're interested in that when it comes to building. and getting as many as you can. And that means getting the small $5 ones. That means starting your order at $5 for 200 words and being super, super cheap, maybe, in order to get started until you're at a level where you can raise those prices, because you have to get noticed first. You can, and the problem is a lot of people that will have these huge prices and they'll start and they're saying, hey, I'm not getting anything. It's not because you're not good. Okay, it's because you're not noticed. You have to get noticed. You have to get yourself on the front page, and you've got to get traffic. And if traffic is coming your way and clicks are coming your way and nobody's ordering, then you need to reassess where you're at and what you need to do. I think a lot of problems that newbies have is that, number one, they're not willing to go to the buy request section and take whatever's there and whatever's available and hit 10 a day. A lot of people I'll meet in my groups, well, I do the buy request section, it doesn't work. I do 1 or 2 and they wait and see what happens. No, you've got to be on a mission. You got to be hitting 10 a day for 30 days, not worry about the results, but be concentrating on the process in order to make that work. Once you do that, you are going to get the results, you are going to move up, and you are going to get noticed. That is part of the legwork and the grind that needs to take place in order to move up on Fiverr.
That's awesome. And there's so many things that you just said there, Will, that I think applies in all types of online marketing. It's the same principles, guys. You have to be consistent. You've got to just run it out. You got to do the hustle, the grind work at the beginning and not worry about the dollars at the beginning and just do it. I know when I talk to people who are getting started on YouTube, they're like, well, I'm doing these, I did a video and only got a couple of views. Well, did you do the legwork and distribute that out there? How is anybody going to find you if you didn't do the hustle part behind it? Getting the platform that you're on, making them happy enough that they promote your stuff, whether that's YouTube, whether that's Fiverr, anywhere else online, that's key. So when you get started, you don't like need to cash the check today, right? Know that you're building something that's a long-term thing and be willing to do things cheap, do things, do the hustle, do the extra work so that you can make that platform, Fiverr, YouTube, whatever, happy, because when you make them happy, they're going to make you a whole lot of money. So that's beautiful. I think the wisdom that you shared here today, Will, is awesome. I'm excited because I know there's a lot of our viewers who are interested in Fiverr but just didn't know how to get their gigs noticed. So this is beautiful for them. We really, truly appreciate this.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Leah.
Now, one thing that will help you when you're creating your profiles on Fiverr and anything else that you're doing for your business is copywriting, learning how to write in a way that moves people to take action. Your profiles, your sales page, whatever that you're doing online, you need to work on your copywriting skills. So I just published a training that's all about copywriting to teach you how to do it. So that is the video, top right corner of your screen right now or at the bottom of the description. Click on that and watch that one next. Again, this is Leah Rae from toddandleahrae.com, and I'll see you soon.